Alright, hello and welcome. I'm just making a guide for Frost Mage on what Covenant you should be, both in 9.1 and upcoming 9.1.5. The things I might be covering in this video are what you should be now, what you should be in 9.1.5, what situations will make you take different Covenants in 9.1.5, and also what balance changes will happen in 9.1.5 that will impact the Covenant decision. So first I wanted to cover what Frost Mages are currently playing, which as you can see from Wowhead here, gives you a general overall split of most of them being Venthyr at 68%, a little bit being Night Fae 23%, and 4% in Kyrian and Necrolord. And also going over here to this website, Subcreation. It's a great way to see what people are building in Mythic Plus. You can see that 47% of people are playing Theotar, yet another 41% playing Night Fae right here, 4% playing Nadia, a surprising 5% playing Kyrian right here, again Venthyr, Night Fae, and then 2 Necrolord. So yeah, overall the vast majority of people right now are playing Venthyr, then yeah, Night Fae as being a very close second in high-end keys, which I'll cover second. And here is the Frost Mage sim from Toe Grinder for on one target what the best Covenant is, which you can see is overwhelmingly Venthyr. Up at 3 target, still Venthyr, 5 target becomes Necrolord. Interesting, but we'll talk about this as well. So, one of the questions that I see almost every day in the Mage Discord is why are so many Frost Mages playing Night Fae and should you swap to it? The short answer is no. If you are purely playing Frost Mage, you should be Venthyr right now. The reason that people, especially in high-end M+, are playing Night Fae is because it's a strong Covenant for Frost on AoE, and they want to off-spec or main-spec play Fire, and they do not raid as Frost, because if you do any single target as Frost, you want to be Venthyr. So, the answer to the question of what you should be now and what you should be in 9.1.5 is if you are Frost Mage main, you should be Venthyr. If you do any raiding, you should be Venthyr. If you only do Mythic Plus, then Night Fae is acceptable as main. If you also want to main Fire and raid, off-spec Frost and Fire, in M+, then Night Fae is also pretty great. This is going to be the same 9.1.5. Any type of single target content, you will still want to be Venthyr for Frost. Venthyr is still going to be the best in some dungeons, and Night Fae is still going to be a very strong choice for AoE, and a lot more Frost Mages are probably going to be picking it in 9.1.5. The reason that Night Fae is so strong in AoE is because it fills those gaps that you have with no frozen orbs, and it also, just does a decent amount of AoE damage itself. It makes Freezing Rain even stronger, especially if you're running Dreamweaver, as you can get a lot more blizzards out during your frozen orb duration. Because of that, get more frozen orbs out. I'll just cover really quick why you see a 4% Necrolord and 4% Kyrian representation. Even when you go to the Subcreation thing, you'll see that, this Necrolord's timed 25 and Kyrian's timed to whopping 28. The main reason for this is that Covenant choice doesn't impact Frost as much as it does some other classes. We're not totally gimped to lose our Covenant ability, and in fact, Necrolord, or not Necrolord, Kyrian is quite strong in single target as well, though it doesn't hold a candle to Venthyr. So the reason that you'll see people go for Kyrian or go for Necrolord is often to fill a hole in their group composition, because oftentimes the dungeon buff, like Inspires, the spear, is far stronger than the damage that you would bring being a stronger Covenant. That is why people are playing Kyrian or Necrolord as Frost. This, though, represents people who are potentially more casual and picking for their preference. So with that being said, there's still going to be a lot of different situations in which you would pick a different Covenant aside from your main Covenant come 9.1.5. So for Kyrian, you would only take this if you don't have a Kyrian in your group for Spires and Necrotic Wake, because the Covenant benefit there is huge compared to the damage that you would do. For Necrolord, and this is just a hot take, you would take it on Tyrannical Mist weeks, because if you're playing Venthyr on Tyrannical Mist week, that does nothing to help you with the Anger Burn, but Necrolord does a lot to help you with Anger Burn, and it's certainly not a weak AoE ability, especially if you just click 5 target right there. And you would also potentially take that if you don't have a Necrolord in Top or Plaguefall, but those are both strong Venthyr dungeons. So speaking of which, Venthyr, you would pretty much always take this in Spires, Theater of Pain, and Plaguefall. And then for Night Fae, its best dungeons are by far Halls, the other side, Necrotic Wake, and Sanguine if you don't need the boss damage. course, you can kind of flex any covenant into each of these, and it will depend on your group composition, but those are the covenants that are kind of tailored to what each dungeon requires. You know, more single target focus damage or just large AoE pulls all the time. And then the super short segment on what balance changes will happen on 1.5 that would affect this decision is just that the Covenant Conduit for Necrolord is game buffed. It's game buffed by 100%, which is actually kind of significant because, you know, it's a decent one, and you would actually run that as your third potency in single target at least. But it has a worse effect in AoE, in particular because we have 3 strong potency conduits in AoE. So yeah, we will see how that affects it. I do think that, like I said before, Necrolord is probably going to be a pick on a high Tyrannical Mist key, just because it will help you deal with Ingra a lot better. So, thank you for watching. And if you would like to see any of my weekworks from our previous videos or anything, those are in the description. I hope you learned something, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below.